AITA for blowing up at my husband for how he reacted to the news of my brother's death. My brother passed away 2 weeks ago. He was in the hospital for weeks. He was very sick. During that time I was very stressed out and worried a lot. I was busy with work, the house, my son and my brother. My husband works from home. I work long hours. When I got home from the hospital I argued with my husband about an issue. Instead of talking to me like an adult, he suddenly stopped talking to me and started texting me saying that way we can have a civil talk. He'd do it all day knowing I'm stressed out and don't have time for this. Whenever I ask him to do something or ask him about our son, he'd stay silent and type his response in a text then send it to me. He only talks to our son and has taken over house chores, but he doesn't talk to me directly. I'm not gonna lie, it made me feel awful because at the time I really needed to talk to somebody and he was being unreasonable. I ignored him thinking he'll quit doing it soon. 2 weeks ago, at 7 in the morning I received a call from my mother telling me that my brother just passed away. It was an awful, devastating moment for me. I was in shock but calm enough to give my husband the news. I told him my brother just passed away. He was still in bed at the time but was on his phone. His reaction was that he looked at me for a few seconds, then started typing on his phone. My phone was still in my hand when I received a text from him saying I'm sorry and that's it. Didn't speak to me even after hearing the news. I didn't expect he'd do that. I lost it. I blew up at him and I started crying. I called his behavior unreasonable and his reaction to this devastating news was awful. I was hurt and he finally spoke up and said that he's the one who's hurt and that I shouldn't have blown up at him because it wasn't his fault my brother died. He then left the room. A few minutes later he started knocking on the door apologizing and trying to say he didn't mean to make me feel bad. I got ready and I went to my mom's house. He called and texted but I didn't respond. My mom asked about him and told me I shouldn't lash out at him because that will never solve the issue. After I told her, his reaction was that he looked at me for a few seconds, then started typing on his phone. My phone was still in my hand. I received a text from him. Op, this man hates you. He hates you for having your own needs instead of endlessly catering to his. NTA. I was once in the grocery store and there was a woman absolutely losing it on the phone in the cereal aisle. She hung up her phone and you could just tell her world had just imploded. I asked if I could help, got her checked out, helped get her groceries and kids to the car, asked if I could call someone for her. This was a complete stranger I had never seen before or since. My point is, this man is supposed to love you up and he couldn't even do the bare minimum of being a human. Not even a partner, a human being. NTA. Your husband is behaving shittily. Take some time for this. You need to begin grieving and get to a place where you can discuss this. It sounds like a problem that's been building for some time. What he did was not helpful, reasonable or healthy. It was childish and manipulative. I'm sorry about your brother Op. I found therapy a lifeline during a heavy year of loss. NTA. You dealt with his bizarre, thoroughly immature behavior for 2 weeks and when he carried on with it at one of your most vulnerable moments, you couldn't hold back. I get it. Get it all day. I'm really sorry for your loss. I hope things at home get better soon. You can't be dealing with all that nonsense at the moment. I'm genuinely horrified at how he treats you. Your brother died, and instead of hugging you and giving you comfort of any kind, he fucking texts you right in front of your face. Hashtag this would end my marriage. To be this petty after hearing about my brother's death is just cruel. I'm so sorry for your loss and for the fact your husband is more interested in winning an argument with you than consoling you. NTA. AITA for feeding my nieces nothing but junk food for 3 days. I, 28F, don't work Fridays, and my brother and his wife, both 34, wanted to spend a long weekend away at their beach house. So they asked me to watch their daughter, 5 and 7. I've never had the girls overnight before. My parents usually take them but didn't feel safe because of COVID, but they're awesome kids and I enjoy them, so I said yes. They didn't pay me anything, but we're family and do favors for each other frequently, so I wasn't expecting it. I'm a vegan, and I've never had the girls alone for more than one consecutive meal, and I've always just fed them easy junk food like a frozen pizza or boxed mac and cheese. I asked my brother what I should feed them this time, and he said they'd be fine just eating whatever I made for myself. Okay, fair enough. They got here Thursday evening after dinner. Friday morning, I made fruit smoothies and they were happy with that. Lunchtime I made them peanut butter and jelly. Dinner is where the problems started, and predictably so emo. I made a chickpea quinoa dish and the girls absolutely would not touch it. I wasn't about to force them to eat something that looked gross to them, so we went to a McDonald's drive-thru. The rest of my meals were going to be as weird and gross, their words lol, so the next morning, I gave them fruit smoothies for breakfast again, and then we went to the grocery store and I got chicken nuggets, mac and cheese, and frozen pizza. And that's what I fed them for the rest of the visit. The girls usually eat better than that. My brother and Sil cook almost every night, but it's not like they never get that kind of food, which I think is an important detail here. The girls went home Sunday after dinner. I guess they told my brother they ate nothing but junk all weekend, because he called me this morning and started yelling at me about how I pumped his kids full of garbage all weekend, and now they're going to think they just get to go to McDonald's whenever they won't eat their dinner. I explained they really wouldn't eat the food I made myself, and he said I should have called him to ask what to do, or at the very least cooked them something from scratch that was healthier. I got annoyed and said I did my best. A few days of junk food won't kill his kids, and I'm not a short order chef. We argued for a while longer until I eventually told him to find someone else to watch his kids next time, or at least prep their meals since he's so damn particular. And then I hung up. I don't have kids and I really did my best. AITA edit, my Sil just called me to apologize on behalf of my brother. The trip was planned last minute and my brother was apparently supposed to prep some dinners for them and bring it to me. He forgot and Sil was pissed to hear they'd been eating garbage all weekend when they were supposed to be sent over with those dinners. She Venmo'd me $50 for the food I bought them, a lot more than I spent TBH, and thanked me for the weekend. I'm sure my brother is going to apologize to me eventually, but I think his tail is tucked between his legs pretty hard right now. I know he comes across as a big R in this situation, but he and I have always been super close, and he can occasionally act like a huge stick without it having any impact on our relationship. God knows I've occasionally been a dick to him in the past and he's always just let it go. Thanks to everyone who commented. My brother is usually very reasonable and normal, so having him blow up on me like this was really weird and confusing. Felt like I was going crazy. NTA. If I send my kids to my relatives, the kids eat what they eat. Woman shrugging. I'm not micromanaging their time away. If there is something they absolutely cannot have, I will tell the adult to drop off. When my wife and I leave our kids with family, we're always grateful of the assistance, and we only have 2 rules. If the kids need to be punished, please do it in a similar way to how we would, and keep them safe. That's it. Besides, I always thought one of the benefits, for the kids, of going to an aunt/uncle/grandparent's place was being a little spoiled. NTA. NTA. You gave them predictable kid food. If your brother had specific meals in mind, he could have told you guidelines or provided you something to offer them, since I don't think you should be expected to cook multiple meals that don't match your dietary requirements. Also, what recipe do you use for the quinoa chickpea dish? NTA. You did a favor and at least tried to keep the kids somewhat healthy with a fruit breakfast. When I was growing up, mac and cheese wasn't considered junk. Honestly, I was expecting a 3-day feast of candy, cokes, chips and pizza. Pre-planning on the parents' end would have helped the situation out. Them telling you to make whatever you make for yourself shows a lack of concern on their part. At minimum, they should have given you menu ideas. The parents should treat as a special holiday menu the kids got when visiting their aunt. This is the price of sending your kids off to someone else's house for a few days, especially if they haven't watched them before. More important for you to have a nice weekend with happy girls than to fuss with them over what they want to eat. A few days of nuggets and cheeseburgers isn't going to ruin them for life. Your brother is an ass. You are NTA. Yeah, this is what I was thinking really. My brother said I should have tried harder to get them to eat the quinoa. But I mean, I'm not their parent and I want them to have a fun time when they see me. I don't want to remember this weekend as the time they had to sit at the kitchen table for 3 hours because their aunt said they couldn't leave till they ate their quinoa. AITA for calling my wife and Mill ridiculous because they're still upset at me over something that happened on Christmas. I do want to apologize for any spelling mistakes as English isn't my first language. I am 35, have been married for 3 years. My wife, F34, and I have 2 kids, M5, and F3. Just gonna hop right into it. Last Christmas, like every other one, my wife and I have a talk. It's really her telling me not to act like a child on Christmas morning. My in-laws spend a week with us and leave after New Year's, and Mill always leaves with a complaint to my wife about my behavior. Here's what I do. I stay in my pajamas, and I sit on the floor with my kids and open presents with them. That's IT. I don't see the issues with this, but my wife and Mill has huge problem with it. My wife always pulls me to the side and it turns into an argument. She wants me to go upstairs and change into clothes and act like an adult. I don't see problems with me staying in pajamas at 8 AM. My Mill came to visit today and she asked me if I was ready to apologize for behaving like a fool on Christmas. This shit happened a month ago and she wants me to apologize. My wife just told me to say I'm sorry so it can be settled. I said she and her mother were being ridiculous and they needed to get over it, as I'm not going to stop enjoying Christmas with my kids. My Mill got offended and stormed out. My wife called me an asshole for insulting them. She now wants me to say sorry for both incidents. I didn't even consider her words. My Mill posted on Facebook about me insulting her and him being harassed into apologizing. I feel foolish just writing about this. So now here I am. So Reddit, tell me, am I the asshole? Edits to add, no, it's not inappropriate pajamas, I'm around my kids. It's a regular shirt and pajama pants. I'm not walking round in my skivvies. And I'm not in them all day, usually till 10 in the morning, no later. NTA, don't apologize for being a good dad. Macy's sells matching family pajamas for Christmas in a variety of sizes, because lots of people celebrate Christmas morning in their jammies. Perhaps buy a set for everyone in your family for next year. Definitely NTA. NTA, your wife and Mill sound like they suck the happiness out of every room they enter. NTA. This is a very odd thing for your wife and Mill to be angry about. You enjoy Christmas and enjoy the spark of joy it brings your kids. Why the heck are they so irritated that you want to make it special with your family? What's the saying? We don't stop playing because we grow old, we grow old because we stop playing. Haven't they noticed that family pajamas are a thing at Christmas? The question is, why aren't those two in their pajamas on Christmas morning? They're a pair of weirdos. NTA.